Sure.
Hi.
We're talking about kind of being an inspired entrepreneur and being entrepreneurial. And the question you were just raising earlier was, well, why didn't we get taught this stuff at school? What's your thoughts?
You know, I've got an 8-year-old daughter, you know, and I try and do as much with her as I can in, you know, not saying no to her, giving her the freedom to explore new ideas and try new things and always just doing her best. But it's very noticeable that perhaps entrepreneurship and trying to do things isn't really taught at schools. And I think that's a great shame that we're not, you know, we're almost led down a path of, you know, you get a job, you go and work, you do 20 years and then you retire sort of thing. And it's just a cultural change. I don't know how we change it. What are your thoughts on perhaps how? Or is it just you going into schools talking about it?
Yeah, well, I suppose it has been, you know, the history of the last 200 years, the kind of industrial age, the factory kind of era that we've lived in over the last couple of hundred years has been very much about training people for jobs. That has been the focus of the education system. So I guess there's a slow change going on, I think, for two reasons. Number one, you know, I think something's waking up inside a lot of people saying, my spirit is bigger than a job. You know, I want something that's big enough for my spirit, and for many people that's their own business or their own part-time business. But I guess also the whole world of work is changing now. You know, companies are downsizing. I'm not sure they're ever going to upsize again. So I think there's a growing and a quickening realisation that we've got to rethink the world of work, that many of us aren't going to have jobs or jobs for life, that we're going to have to be more enterprising, whether we have a series of jobs or we have several jobs or we have jobs and employment or jobs and self-employment. I think, you know, in my mind, we're opening up the world to new possibilities, you know, but I don't think there's anything we should be doing. I think we're entering an age where it's more, what do you really want to do? Because there's never been so much freedom to do what you really want to do. So if you want to do something a day a week for, you know, not for profit, go and volunteer your time, you could do it, work 2 days a week in a job, work 2 days a week in your own business. If you want to do that, there's the freedom today to be able to do that, like there's never been before.
Well, certainly, you know, a couple of observations. One is that you're quite right. I think there's never been a better time to try things for yourself and whatever. Secondly, if you look at quite a number of entrepreneurs, and I've only just really thought of this, so I don't think I'm wrong, and maybe someone will say you've got it all wrong, but I don't think so. You'll notice that quite a number of them were very entrepreneurial as children. You know, they had a sweet shop or a tuck shop, they were mowing the lawn for the neighbourhood, they set up a little stall somewhere, so they were, you know, 6 years old, 7 years old, they were making money. And I think that's a very noticeable trend as well, yet they were never encouraged. Their parents encouraged them.
It was never a career option.
It was never, you know, they never thought this is something you know, they didn't really know what it was other than they just wanted their own money sort of thing. So that's very noticeable. And thirdly, you know, my daughter has access to stuff that I never had access to. Internet, you know, she just, you know, for her to have an iPod and a computer and stuff she thinks is normal. When I was 8, we didn't have any of that stuff. So it's
radiogram.
It's that. So, you know, what's available to kids now is huge.
Yeah. So they don't grow up with many of the limitations that I guess we've grown up with, either in their belief systems or in the practicality of the way they live their life.
But then I think a lot of that boils back to the teachers and the curriculum or whatever. Yeah. They don't tend to teach much in the way of life skills. You know, yes, they teach maths and English and geography and you know, the basic sort of curriculum stuff, but not in the, you know, how do I set up a business or what do I do?
Well, sadly, because most teachers are employed. So why would they know about being entrepreneurial? Most of the people we come across in our education system are employed.
True.
So, you know, it's not even in their consciousness to think about running a business particularly.
Do you think this is more prevalent in the West, in the UK? I mean, you travelled around to other countries. Are other countries treating kids any better, different in terms of that?
I was listening to the radio, I think, a few months ago, and I was listening, and apparently now there is enterprise being taught in some schools in the UK at kind of A level.
Okay.
So it is beginning to get in there, but the sense I had was it was kind of pretty boring stuff about doing a business plan rather than thinking about doing something you love. But I go to South Africa every year now, and I know in South Africa they see that the future belongs to entrepreneurs to some extent, because maybe there's never going to be big companies that are going to create tens of thousands of jobs. If you can get one person creating a little company that can employ 6 people, if a million people did that in the country, it would solve their unemployment problem. So I think there is a realisation that small business and enterprise is a bigger engine than most people are giving it credit for. I think in this country, I can't remember, but something like 50 or 60% of people work in companies of less than kind of 20 people.
Okay.
You know, because it's so fragmented, people don't see it, and they don't see its significance.
Sure.
So I think there's a shift, and I guess that we're part of helping kind of make that shift as well.
Well, and one of the interesting things, you know, from a Twitter perspective, is the number of teenagers on Twitter is actually massively on the rise. Okay, perhaps for different reasons, not so much entrepreneurship necessarily, but perhaps to follow the celebrities who are now appearing. But they're beginning to get Twitter. They're certainly on Facebook, and they're certainly building up a very big network of people that they know.
I think people are really into networking. I was just chatting to somebody last week and had, I think, a 16-year-old daughter, and she said, "Oh, she just bought a new iPod," and to her it was natural to go onto Facebook and say, "Who wants to buy my old iPod?" Like just a natural thing to do. She didn't think twice about it. So I think this whole idea of social networking and its impact is going to be big in both in business and the way that we live our lives.
Excellent. Well, this is Nick and Mark signing off for another video. On our next episode, not quite sure what we're going to talk about yet, be a surprise, but it'll be something good, something very informational about either Twitter or about Nick's passion, Inspiring Entrepreneurs.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.